ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलन वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यभिमहायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ 218 उत्तमाधमभावश्चेत् तेषां स्यादस्तु तेन किं स्वप्नस्थराज्यवीक्षाभ्यां न बुद्धस्पृश्यते खलु. So in these verses beginning from verse 210, so Vidyaranya is dealing with this Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam, Tattvam Padartha Aikyam, and that is which is revealed by the word Asi in the Mahavakya. So he says from the standpoint of this consciousness, well, there is Aikyam, and from the standpoint of this medium and the reflection, that Aikyam is not possible. So from Paramarthika Drishti, yes, there is Aikyam. From Vyavaharika Drishti, there is no Aikyam. Because totally opposite. From Vyavaharika Drishti, Jiva and Ishvara are totally opposite. And so there are two Drishtis. One is a Drishti from a Paramarthika standpoint, from a Vyavaharika standpoint. Abheda, Bheda. So there was a proposition that let's accept Bheda Bhedavada. Instead of just saying a Bheda, let's say take a Bheda Bhedavada itself. So there are two different standpoints and so both are there. So don't emphasize on just a Bheda. And well, so we should take into consideration Bheda also. Then we said no. Vidyaranya said Bheda belongs to a lower order of reality. And so from a Paramarthika Drishti, the Bheda is Mithya. Bheda is important from Vyavaharika Drishti. Very important. You should see the difference between a glass and water. You should see the difference between a plate and the food. Otherwise, what will happen? I should see the difference between a computer and camera. I should see. And I should see the difference between you and me also. Otherwise, if difference is, Bheda is not there at all, no Vyavahara is possible. One should appreciate. I should know the difference between this room and the other room. Otherwise, I can enter anywhere. Then you should know the difference between your car and somebody's car. So that Bheda is required. All Vyavahara possible through Bheda. But basically, and Vyavaharika Drishtya, Bheda is maintained also. So, but Shankaracharya ji says, well, don't talk about a Bheda. This Bheda is there, but it is Mithya. And therefore, the reality is a Bheda. In Vyavahara, you should have that Bheda and you should appreciate the Bheda. And on basis, you should do a Vyavahara. Only Shankaracharya ji says regarding, na advaitam guruna saha. So, well, don't talk about a Veda in front of your teacher and ask him to do namaskara to me, because as such there is no difference between you and me like that. So don't say that. But the Veda is there, but it is Mithya. Anyway, so Vyavaharik Vedas are, well, we respect, but it should become insignificant. See, the thing is actually, one person is exposed to this teaching, Veda is a significant, Abeda is insignificant. And as he listens to the Shastra, etc., then definitely, slowly, Abeda becomes significant. At one point, Veda is a significant and Abeda also is significant. That will be the situation. But more of a Shravanam becomes mature, which we call it as a Nididhyasana. The mature Shravanam is a Nididhyasana. And years of listening ultimately makes Abheda significant, and Bheda becomes insignificant. So that is called Nishtha. So that comes through Nididhyasanam only. So when person begins, definitely Bheda is significant for him, Abheda is insignificant. But at the end of the journey, after Nididhyasanam, Abheda becomes significant, Bheda becomes insignificant. And so then we can say that, well, this Paramarthik Drishti is absorbed by that person. And for that, of course, Nididhyasanam is a sadhana. And so when Paramarthik Drishti dominates, Vyavaharika Bheda becomes insignificant. It will be there. In Vyavahara it will be there. So that's how Jnanis also have all Vyavahara, but it is insignificant. And when Vyavaharik Drishti is, of course, dominant, then Vyavaharik Bheda becomes significant. And therefore, all this prarabdha karma and then worldly, all these problems, etc., all are significant. So in verse 217, Vidyaranya says, as long as this Paramarthik Drishti is not there, Abheda Drishti is not there, Yada Advitiyam Brahmatattvam na jananti. When one doesn't know this Brahmatattva, which is Advaitam, which is non-dual, Bhrantaha eva, then definitely this Vyavaharik Bheda will be there in his life. Bheda is a significant in this life. And so, Vidyaranya gives warning, Akhilaha Bhrantaha. So, well, in such a situation, when Bheda is a very, very significant thing, then definitely one will not get an mukti. And he will not get even sukham also. Because all the time, Bheda creates a problem in his mind. So that's what it is told there in verse 218 also. Kvaha muktihi kaha iha vasukham. So therefore there is no mukti, there is no sukham also. And so Purvapakshi basically is disturbed. Bheda means here Jiva Ishwar Bheda. So Purvapakshi is little bit disturbed and hearing this. So he did not question, but we can assume a question from the answer given by Acharya in 219. So as if the question of a Purvapakshi is, how can this Jiva and Ishvara both are insignificant, both are mithya? How can you say that? Jiva is Alpagnya, Alpashaktiman, etc. Ishvara is a Sarvagnya, Sarvashaktiman, etc. So you are dismissing both as a mithya. We can't swallow that. How come they are on the same footing basically? So that is been told here in 218. Uttam Adhama Bhavaha. So Uttam Adhama Bhavaha, well, so one is Adhamaha. One is inferior. Ishvara is Uttama, superior. So Uttam Adhama Bhavashet, since one is inferior, one is superior, you can't treat them equally. So then we give an answer, Astu, Tena Kim. So, well, I do accept that, one has the inferior attributes, other has the superior attributes. But because of this gradation, you cannot call that one is Satyam and other is Mithya. So, gradation exists within Mithya. Just because, the inferior and superior attributes are there, you can't call that, it is Satyam. Veda is Satyam. You cannot call. This gradation itself, Uttama and Adhama, inferior, superior, etc., this gradation itself is there within Mithya. Yeah. And therefore he gives an example also. Swapnastha Rajya Bhikshabhyam. So king is a Uttama. Swapnastha Rajya. Rajya means a king here. So king is a Uttama, and then Bhiksha. Bhiksha means here beggar. So king is a Uttama and beggar is Adhama. Swapnastha. Well, in a dream. Both belong to dream. Well, then on waking, both are negated, right? And therefore, even though, during dream, king has gone slowly and then beggar has gone like a bubble, etc. Even such a situation is there in a dream. But once you wake up, then definitely both are negated instantaneously, immediately, as mithya. So, from Paramarthika Drishti, Jivishwar negation is also equal and instantaneous. So, Rajya means a king status and Bhiksha means a beggar status. So, Buddha na sprusyate. Buddha means a waker. Waker is neither qualified by the beggarhood or he is not qualified by the kinghood also. Both are equally absent when one wakes up. So, just as a Vyavarik Satya Buddha is not affected by this Pratibhasika gradation of a kinghood or a beggarhood, while similarly, this Paramarthika Satya Buddha, basically one who has woken up further, for him, this Jiva and Ishvara, with both the attributes, inferior or superior attributes, both are negated equally and instantaneously. And therefore, Vedantic student, should not have obsession from this mithya. Oh, Ishvara cannot be called mithya, etc. Such a kind of obsession should not be there. And Nididhyasanam alone is shifting this reality from Veda to Abheda. Veda was significant earlier, Abheda becomes significant later. 290. Tasman mumokshubhirmaiva matir jiveshavaadayoh karya kintu brahma tattvam vicharyam buddhyatam chatat. Vidyaranya advises that we do discuss Jiva and Ishvara, definitions, etc. And we discuss those topics as not as an end in itself. Sooner or later, basically our attention should be focused on Brahman. So we have this Vyavarika Veda, etc. should not become obstacle to our dwelling upon a Paramarthika Vastu. So Vidyaranya gives a very strong advice actually not to spend too much of time in analyzing Jiva and Ishvara. So Tasmat means since they are both mithya actually, like a beggar and dream king, even though there is a gradation there, but since their status is mithya and therefore basically both have to be negated. So here also in the same way, Jiva and Ishvara, even though with a superior and inferior attributes, gradation is there, but still they are mithya, one should know it. And since they are mithya, matihi jiva ishavadayoho means, matihi means your interest, or your obsession in jiva ishavadayoho, in discussion on Jiva and Ishvara topic, etc. Na karya, should not be done. You should not dwell too much on Jiva and Ishvara. Na karya. There should not be too much of obsession in discussing or in analyzing Jiva and Ishvara. By you or by mumukshubi, for a serious seeker, there should not be a too much discussion or analysis on these two topics. Where should I focus? Brahma Tattvam Vicharyam. Kintu Brahma Tattvam Vicharyam, may you dwell upon Brahma Tattvam, which is my Sarupa, and that should be inquired into. One should spend more time on analyzing who am I rather than discussion on Jiva and Ishvara, analyzing and discussion on Jiva and Ishvara. Tad buddhyatam, one should inquire into that, and that inquiry should lead to the knowledge. Tat buddhyatam, that Brahman buddhyatam, may you know Brahman, let Brahman be known by you. And here also, one should be careful, he is going to say that. In this also, one should be quite careful, otherwise it leads to another trap. See, what happens is, once I clearly gain the knowledge of Mahavakyam that I am a Kutastha Chaitanyam, etc. Means I was free, I am free, I will be free. I am ever free. I am Nitya Mukta, Atma, etc. That is the freedom, in fact. There is no other freedom. So, Nitya Mukti is a Mukti. There is no Mukti. There is Jivan Mukti, etc. is not there. Jivan Mukti, Videha Mukti, etc. I am going to discuss that. These Muktis are from other standpoint. Actually, I am Mukta, basically. Anyway, so here I is basically this consciousness, Brahman. And Shastra points out that knowledge gives this liberation, etc., moksha, and that claim freedom which was there all the time with you. So, and Shastra mentions Jivan Mukti, etc., but that is knowledge makes you claim that Jivan Mukti. That's a primary benefit. That's a primary benefit. And knowledge gives where will be the trap? That's what I am discussing. That's okay. Shastra says that you will be free. You will be free means people think that I was bound and I am free by the knowledge. That thing just doesn't go. I was bound and I will be free now. That itself is a big obsession. And that is one thing. Second thing is knowledge also, this knowledge, self-knowledge gives a secondary benefit also. And secondary benefit is a mental health of a jiva. Definitely. Emotionally he becomes more stable actually. So in Sthita Prajna, emotional health refinement is a byproduct of this knowledge. And that is what Bhagavan also said several places. Dukkheshu anudvigna manaha, sukheshu vigataspruhaha, vitaraga bhayakrodaha, sthitadihi muni uchyate. He is free from now bhayam, he is free from the anger, he is free from the lust. And dukkheshu anudvigna manaha, even though external situations are very, very adverse situations, but his mind is not sorrowful, etc. And sukheshu vigataspruha, even external situations are very conducive, he does not get elated, etc. Nabhinandati nadveshti, so he does not abhinandati, he does not get elated. Nadveshti, he does not hate, he does not come under the sway of the situation, etc. Shubha Shubha Parityagi. Several places Bhagavan said that the knowledge, self-knowledge, another advantage is a mental health. Definitely it improves emotional health, etc. That's a secondary benefit. Primary benefit is that Jivan Mukti, which Shastra talks about. Even though I am Mukta, but now I claim that I am Mukta. That is Jivan Mukti. I am free. But when I claim that I am free, that is called Jivan Mukti. That's all. There is no Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti and this Videha Mukti is just from the standpoint of Vyavahara. People think that from the Paramarthik standpoint, there is a Jivan Mukti. There is no Jivan Mukti. There is only one Mukti from Paramarthik standpoint, and that is Nitya Mukti. Only one. So this ideas has to be dropped. Okay, but the trap is now. Because this person, the person who is Sthita Prajna, who is a wise person, or who is in the process of that becoming wise, he gets that second benefit, or he is going to get the second benefit. He has heard from Bhagavad Gita that dukkheshu anudvigna manaha sthit, sukheshu vigata spruha, vitaraga bhayakrodaha. So this wise person is free from anger and lust and fear and etc. So he starts his mukti from the standpoint of a mind. And he feels, if my mind becomes free from the anger and lust and that fear, etc., I'll be free. It's a totally wrong notion. This is a byproduct he doesn't understand. He takes the condition of the mind. If he gains such a kind of a mind in which there is no fear, there is no anger, etc., or there is no lust, he thinks he is now Jivan Mukta. That's not the case. You cannot, because Mukti is centered on the self, not on the mind. It is not centered on the mind. But people don't realize it. Most of the people in our seekers also, all the time their question is, but in my mind, Swamiji, still Raga Dvesha is there. In my mind, this is there. Still, this is there. Still, this is there. It's a trap. It's a trap. What is secondary benefit, they consider it as a primary benefit. And this thing just doesn't go. Just doesn't go. People always think their mukti in terms of the condition of the mind, and it's a trap. Because there is, I'm not the mind is a mukti. I'm not the mind is a mukti. That's what he is going to tell now. And people think, well, some certain atmosphere in the mind is a mukti. Where is, it's a big trap. First trap is a discussion on a Jiva and Ishvara. Analyzing Jiva and Ishvara thoroughly, which is really mithya. He gets trapped into that discussion or analysis. Once that is over and come to this, now that I am Brahman, now well, the secondary benefit and the primary benefit, and he doesn't understand it. And what is secondary benefit takes it as a primary benefit, and he tries to, he's all the time manipulating his mind so that he will be free. There will never be the case. Such people are the people who are frustrated seekers, really speaking. There are frustrated seekers. I'm telling you purposely this adjective. There are frustrated seekers after listening to several years. That is, they have not come out of this trap. That a ideal condition of such mind, and they always quote these verses also. Look, wise person's mind is free from anger. Vita raga bhayak krodha. Dukkheshu anudvigna manah. They don't understand it is the benefit comes with the knowledge. Main benefit is that you are nitya mukta. Please understand that. But he's trapped there. Now, condition of the mind, thinking that the mind is Atma. Well, he has to start again from Tattva Bodha rather, I think. He has to start from Tattva Bodha, that Sukshma Sharira, Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharira Vyatirikta Atma. He has to understand that very clearly. Then he will give up this, equating his mukti with the condition, certain ideal condition of the mind. And that's what he is discussing now. So don't be obsessed with the secondary benefit. Don't be obsessed with the primary benefit also. People all the time, when will be I Jivan Mukta? Jivan Mukti is from the standpoint of, from the Vyavariya standpoint. You are already free. You are free. Better concentrate on that aspect. That's what he is telling now. Brahma Tattvam Vicharyam. Tad buddhyata, you are free, that you better understand. You are free. Not that when I will be free, when will I become Jivan Mukta, etc., etc. And when will I become Vidya Mukta? That also I am going to say. There is another problem. There is another trap there also. So anyway, byproduct, happens when you dwell, you understand that mind, etc., is of such a kind of a mind one gains, etc., is just a byproduct. When you really dwell upon the nature of Atma, well, then you understand. Mind's nature is all the time fluctuating, and so self-judgment begins, etc. But after study of this Jivan Mukti, etc., people get lost, as I told you, in the study of the mind. Because Bhagavan said, Sthita Dihi, etc., etc. This Sthita Prajna has this kind of a thing, etc. So they always think in terms of the mind. So that's kind of an ideal condition of mind arises, then I become Jivan Mukta. And that is how the question also comes. When the person who is in the process of gaining knowledge, well, he has this question that do I deserve to be a Jivan Mukta or not? Please understand. Do I deserve to be a Jivan Mukta or not? That itself is a wrong question. If you are already free, where is the question of you are going to be free? Jivan Mukta means while living, am I going to get this mukti or not? Am I going to get this mukti or not? You are free. Are you not able to appreciate it? Means you think yourself that you are bound. It's a trap. It's a big trap. I'm really getting excited. I should not. But I'm telling you. And some people read this Yoga Vasishtha, etc. And then they get another problem. There is, one person asked me, there is a Brahmavid, then there is a Brahmavid Varaha, then there is a Brahmavid Variyang, then there is a Brahmavid Varishtha. So there are states in Mukti also. And well, these are all, I'm not saying they are wrong or something. It's all based on a Vyavarika Drishti, which is Mithya. One has to just concentrate on one's nature. There is no way out. And once you really get a clarity about who you are, this Jivan Mukti problem and Videha Mukti problem and the condition of the mind, everything just gets dropped. Just gets dropped. But that person will not have any question. This all question reveals that you are trapped somewhere. Definitely you are trapped. So, condition of the mind and ragadvesha, etc. continues all the time. Some people ask about vasanas also. And some people ask about manonasha also. These all. And Pujya Swamiji was so clever. He gave the knowledge bypassing all these things. He never mentions about manonasha and vasanaksha and all that. He knows that, basically, he was knowing rather, that this kind of a mentioning also people will get trapped into that. Vasanaksha and manonasha and all these kind of things. Anyway. So there are this, one obsession is whether I deserve to be called Jivan Mukta or not. Listening after 20 years, 40 years. Whether I am really, they ask us also, or any Swami, other, whether I am really deserved to be called Jivan Mukta or not. I have understood I am Nitya Mukta, but whether I am Jivan Mukta or not, this is a huge issue, I tell you. I am a Nitya Mukta, understand, I am Nitya Mukta, means I am free. Whether I will be Jivan Mukta or not. If you are Nitya Mukta, where is the question of Jivan Mukta now? Please tell me. Could you follow what I am saying? If you are already free, then where is the question of getting freedom now while living? Will I be free? But you are saying that you are free. And you are now asking me, will I be free in this life or not? What is this? What is this? Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vartate Viditatmanam, etc. In the 5th chapter. This all, Pujya Swami says this Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti, people are trapped. In fact, there is no Videha Mukti. Believe me. Because people ask a question that such a person, such a wise person will come back or not. Then they say, he won't come back because his Sukshma Sharira merges into Ishvara. That is Videha Mukti. His Sukshma Sharira merges into Ishvara. That is Videha Mukti. Now, but what about the person, that consciousness? There is no question at all. So, since the question is there, whether he returns or not, he takes birth or not, we say he doesn't return, that is called Videha Mukti, etc. There is no question of Videha Mukti. There is no question of Jivan Mukti also. There is only one Mukti, Nitya Mukti. That's all it is. So people are trapped, and because the Jivan Mukti, we have to introduce, because Shastra says Jivan Mukti, etc., Sthita Prajna, etc., and then get trapped into what is primary benefit is Jivan Mukti, secondary benefit, conditions of the certain emotional stability, etc. Condition. People got trapped in both. So one obsession is whether I deserve to be called Jivan Mukta or not. But what do you think from Vedanta? Oh no, Vedanta says you are Nitya Mukta. Then where is the question of becoming free now? Anyway, so this, I have put too much of attention on either a mind or either in this Jivan Mukti. Okay, this is one. Second obsession is what level of Jivan Mukti is required. This was a question I also got. What level of a Jivan Mukti is required in order to be Videha Mukta? And whether mind is basically, is to merge into Ishvara, well, how do I know, will I get that Videha Mukti, etc. So Videha Mukti also is from Vyavarika Drishti. Basically, Sukshma Sharira merges into Ishvara, well, that is Videha Mukti, there is nothing else. So don't be obsessed with both Muktis. Jivan Mukti is a Vyavarika product, primary product, and Videha Mukti also is a secondary product, okay? But it's also Vyavarika product. So we should not bother about it. I should bother about it. Who am I? That's the only thing. That's how he says drop this discussion on Jiva and Ishvara. He says, drop this discussion. Well, basically, Brahma Tattvam Vicharyam. Tat Buddhyatam. Do analysis not on Jiva and Ishvara, do analysis on who you are, basically, ultimately, and Tat Buddhyatam, may you gain this knowledge. So don't try to classify all this, what is Jivan Mukti and what is Videha Mukti. Basically, you are Kutastha Brahma, you are all the time free. This Jivan Mukti, Videha Mukti is a headache of Bhagavan. Leave it to him. My commitment is I am not the body, mind, sense complex. I am not this Karana Sharya. Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharya Vyatiriktaha. Try to gain this knowledge, clear knowledge. That's all. And and then what will happen to what this, and then this body, what happens to, after the body, this Sukshma Sharira goes where, and Karana Sharira, what happens to Karana Sharira and etc. Give it up. So once you really know that who you are, then even while living itself, prarabdhaya samarpitam tava vapuhu ityesha manisha mama. Acharya said in Manisha Panchakam, prarabdhaya samarpitam. The body also is, is given to the prarabdha, this gross body. And subtle body and other things also, it also merges into Ishvara. But anyway, we should not be obsessed with. One should be obsessed with the knowledge, rather than one should not be obsessed with the muktis. The knowledge is you are free. Whether this is clear to me or not, I am free. That's all. One should be obsessed with this knowledge, nothing else. And this is a note given by Vidyaranya Swami here. I am none other than Brahman. I don't deny that fact, and one should all the time pay attention to that. Verse 220. Purvapakshataya tauche tattva nishchaya hetutam prapnutostu nimajjasva tayor naitavatavashah. So a student raised a question. Okay, I understood what you said, but I am forced to enter this discussion on Jiva and Ishvara and other thing, because other philosophers also describe Jiva and Ishvara differently. There are many darshanas. Some darshanas discuss Ishvara also, nature of Ishvara, etc. They define, especially Astika darshanas. And some darshanas, they do not discuss Nastika darshanas regarding Ishvara also. And some darshanas do discuss define Jiva also. And we also have to answer them, because they do discuss, they do define this Jiva and Ishvara. So we also give a definition of both from Vyavarika Drishti. So since there is a confusion, for the sake of clarification, we have to enter into this discussion. To know what is what means, basically, there is a discussion on Jiva and Ishvara, or analysis of Jiva and Ishvara. Even Vedanti also enters into, even though both are mithya, like that kinghood and beggarhood, both are mithya. Once you wake up, both are negated instantaneously, immediately, and there is no impact of either of them on a wake up. Same way Jiva and Ishvara, both is like that, but still, because in the philosophical circle they define differently, and so we have to clarify our stand, basically. And in fact, in Brahma Sutra there is a separate dissection where Jiva is also discussed, and because other people they give a different definitions of a Jiva. So to answer Purvapaksha's definition is essential, and therefore, for our own, and by answering them we are clarifying our position, basically. So we enter discussion for that matter. So Vidyaranya himself has discussed a definition of Jiva by other systems. In fact, in this chapter itself, it has come before. But he is warning now that don't enter too much into this discussion on Jiva and Ishvara. He warns, basically, he is warning, don't get lost into that. Since you have to, because these both are Vyavarika, both are Mithya, and the discussion is endless. Anything which is Mithya, if you discuss, it will be endless. That's called Mithya, whose discussion will be endless. If you arrive at conclusion, real conclusion means it is not mithya. Definitely. Conclusion is that this belongs to this only, or this is like this only. Means you have categorized. If you have categorized, it is not mithya. What is not available for categorization is mithya. And that is how discussion on once you leave the discussion on Brahman, the discussion is endless. Anything. It may be a Jiva, it may be a Jagat, or it may be Ishvara also. Regarding Ishvara, so much of discussion and fight going on. Regarding Jagat, regarding Jiva also, who is this individual? So once you come out of this discussion on Brahman, the discussion will be endless. Definitely. Brahman means this Satyam Jnanam Ananda. That's all. This is Brahman. That's all. Well, this is how it is. But then discussion on these other three things which are mithya is endless. So that's how he is warning. Don't get lost into that. Come to the Paramarthika plane, etc. So, Purvapakshataya. So here it is a Ithambhute Tritiya. As the views of the challengers, who challenges this definition of Jiva and Ishvara? Well, we have to answer that. Otherwise, what happens is, if you won't answer, their doubts become your doubts. It is not their doubt. If you can't answer their doubt, their doubt is not their doubts. It's our doubt. Yeah. Therefore, if you won't clarify your position, you may not answer that person. At least you should answer to yourself. Yeah, that's the thing. And therefore, ultimately, we have to answer. That is how we enter into the discussion. Anyway, so Purvapakshataya. So, Purvapakshataya Tau. Tau means this Jiva and Ishvara, Vada, etc. The topics of Jiva and Ishvara, analysis of Jiva and Ishvara, they become Purvapaksha for us. Or we enter into that discussion. Tattva Nishchaya Hetutam. Because that becomes a stepping stone for entering into Paramarthik Brahman, etc. So, Tau Purvapakshataya Tattva Nishchaya Hetutam Prapnutah. So, both this Jiva and Ishvara topics will gain status of a Purvapaksha, matter for a doubt. So that is ultimately to enter into Tattva Nishchaya Hetutam. That becomes a stepping stone, that becomes a cause to enter into the discussion on Brahman. To ascertain the nature of Brahman, and therefore we definitely enter into that Vada, even though it is Mithya, Jiva and Ishvara Mithya. So Vidyaranya says, Astu, Tathastu means that Vada is useful. Yes, that is true. What we are saying is true, that Vada is useful as a means of stepping stone, but therefore Tayoho Nimajjasva. Well, may you enter. Nimajjasva means may you drown into that, means may you enter into that discussion on Jiva and Ishvara, etc. That is true. But my statutory warning is, etavata avashaha na bhavatu. Etavata. By this much, by that discussion on that, entry into this discussion, avashaha na bhavatu. May you not get lost into that discussion. And that's how I said this manonasha and this vasanaksha, etc. also. Certain discussion, certain books discuss too long. And they prescribe even Ashtanga Yoga and Nirvikalpa Samadhi also. And student is generally trapped in this vasana in mind, etc. So, all the time dwelling upon. Means what happens is, if you discuss this Jiva and Ishvara at a length, you remain in a Vyavarika plane. And then you never get a chance ultimately to enter into this the reality or Paramarthika Vastu. And therefore, more on a discussion means you remain in that plane which is Mithya actually. So basically, people keep dwelling on this Vyavarika Vastu. So Pujya Swamiji always avoids these topics. Otherwise, it will, because Swamiji's goal was to teach you who you are Brahman. So if you discuss on this Vasana, Nirvikalpa Samadhi also is another topic. Vasanakshaya, Manonasha, all this will take you to this Vyavarika plane only. So, and these Vasanas, etc., we have gathered in trillions of Janma actually. So, and therefore what to worry about? Because ultimately, since what you have gained, which is anadi, and you enter into the discussion that how all this kshaya of vasana etc. take place. Well, that thing is not going to, that discussion itself is not going to end, and you will not find an answer also. So let them happen as a byproduct. Vasana kshaya happens as a byproduct, means it becomes mithya for you. And therefore let this thing happen as a byproduct. Let even the condition of the mind becomes what has been described as a byproduct. Don't focus on that. Don't get trapped into that. Well, I don't have that kind of a mind which is free from totally. And even Bhagavan has accepted. This is just by the way. See, what Bhagavan said was in the 5th chapter. Kama krodod bhavam vegam. Well, one who is able to prak sharira vimokshanat, one who is able to, before he gives up this body, before he, that even if he is able to, manage, kama krodod bhavam vegam, the force which is born of a kama krodha, one who is able to manage, while that person is ultimately going to gain moksha. Bhagavan did not say one who has become free from desire and anger. He has not said. He said you become free from the force or the pressure of this ragadvesha or kamakrodha. That's what he said. And therefore, one always thinks that I'm working for gaining an ideal condition of a mind in which there is no desire, no anger, etc. That's not going to work. And such people, after a few years, they decide that, well, they are not fit to gain this mukti. In fact, you are free, but you missed the step. So you got trapped into that, which was really a byproduct. And therefore, at any point in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan has not told that one should be totally free from ragadvesha. And one cannot be free also. Why? Because they are from infinite janmas. Therefore, you cannot, like you cut so many things, like grass, etc. You keep on cutting and cutting, and every 15 days you have to with a mower you have to mow. Every week also perhaps. So you keep on doing that. It keeps coming. So one can be only free by realizing that I am not this sukshma sharira. That's the only solution. I am not this sukshma sharira. Rather than making a sukshma sharira or a mind free from raga dvesha, so that's why Pujya Swamiji also used to tell one should become free from this pressure born of raga dvesha. He used to call it as a binding desires. So desires will be there. Let the binding desire become non-binding desires. That's all. Desire, when I am saying anger also, we should include raga dvesha or kama krodha, they goes together. And therefore, basically, this vasana, which we have gathered in, these are all impressions, gathered in trillions on trillions of how many words we don't know. And so vasana, kshaya, etc., we should not worry about it. And that keeps you in a Vyavarika plane. And even if you are trying to manage few things, still you are not free. Because ultimately it is mithya, you should realize it. You are satyam. Atma is satyam, that is mithya, one has to realize it. So let them happen as a byproduct. Anything, whatever has been told by Bhagavan in a sthita prajna lakshanam, let it happen as a byproduct. People try to concentrate there. And therefore, sthita prajna is a sthita prajna due to knowledge, basically, of oneself. Not sthita prajna is due to that his mind is free from raga, dvesha, etc. People concentrate there. And that is how they get trapped into that. Anyway, so, so this is the answer for that I am Paramarthik Brahman and I am not affected by the whole universe. And then what to talk about this vasanas, etc., or the certain condition of the mind? Well, definitely, because I am Asangam Brahma, one should basically gain this knowledge. One should become, gain the clarity in this knowledge of Atma, that I am Asanga. There one should pay attention. One should become obsessed with this knowledge of Brahman rather than obsessed with certain creating a condition of a mind or thinking too much about this Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti and etc. etc. One should give up that thing, because all this is in Vyavaharika plane. Because all is mithya. Jivan mukti is mithya. Videya mukti is mithya. Please understand that. You are free. Nitya mukti is the only mukti. That's all. That is how it is. Nitya mukti itself shows it is not mithya. What is nityam cannot be mithya. And therefore, ultimately, one should pay attention to that thing only. And this is this very, very important thing which Vidyaranya discussed here. I think we will stop here. The next verse I will take it later. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.